Hi everybody. This tutorial is specific for Bagheera. Um, so, in case you haven't seen the basic overview video, um, I'm going to have the colors and the brushes and your kit ready for you. So you don't have to worry about collecting any of those supplies when you go to paint Bagheera. The colors are going to be a dark gray or a medium tone gray, a light gray, and black. So hopefully you can follow along. Kendall is going to be my model for this one, as she's been for the other ones. And if you have questions, obviously let me know. You will need, Bagheera's going to need a black eyeliner, and that's only because as we go underneath the eyes for the kids, their eyes kind of get weepy and watery. So hopefully each Bagheera is going to have their own black eyeliner that's going to be in a separate bag with their name on it. So we just need to know who's who and what day they're on the show as Bagheera. So without further ado, let me show you what we're going to need. Like I said, the colors: light gray, medium gray, black. These are the three sort of brushes I like to use with Bagheera. This is a different one than I've used with most of the other characters because it makes the shading for different parts of Bagheera a little bit easier. Most everybody else has some sort of fine brush and a wide brush. Wide brushes obviously are for lots of heavy coverage. So without further ado, let's get started. So here's my trusty model. Hello. You're a little low. We gotta have you sit up a little straighter. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing we're gonna do with this one is just cover her whole face with the lightest color of the three, which is a light gray. I forgot to put my mixing liquid in this batch, so it's looking a little bubbly. If your paint looks a little bubbly, we are finding that the lighter colors go on and you can sort of see these little blank spots. But if you just let it dry for a little bit and then go back over it with your brush, it smooths it out pretty well. So anyway, go ahead and paint into their eyebrows and get their eyelids also covered. I try and leave their eyelashes their natural color just because it makes their eyes pop a little bit more. A little bit of the paint goes a long way, and as it dries, you'll find that as it dries, as it's in the process of drying, it can be a little bit easier to work with and cover. This one's being very bubbly today. You don't have to go all the way up to their eyes with the white, because again, they're going to have some eyeliner on the bottom that's going to go right against their eye. With Bagheera, one of the things that you might sort of miss is that we're only painting the upper lip. Open your mouth a little bit. There you go. We're painting the upper lip for Bagheera, not the bottom. So just be mindful of that. And the reason we're not doing Bagheera as with the face in a dark color is because we find that we lose their features in the really dark colors from the stage. So we don't want to do that. This part could also be done with a sponge, but I find that you'll use less paint and can sort of control it a little bit better with a brush. Some of the characters you'll need sponges, but not for Bagheera, at least that I think right now. If you're gonna do 2 coats, try and make sure that the first coat is dry, because otherwise it just gets kind of thick and smudgy. Bagheera's going to be wearing a black neck scarf, which looks really cool in the finished product. So that's the first coat. My lips didn't come out quite so great. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this that medium-sized brush, and I'm going to use the medium color, and I like to kind of go in and paint the eyebrows a little bit, give them some shading. It gives some depth to the face a little bit. We're going to go back with some black and accentuate that in a little bit. For this, we're going to go around. Look at the camera real quick. We're going to kind of put some shading around her mouth to make that sort of pop, and I also kind of put a little bit of a shade around the nose and at the chin to make it pop. So Bagheera is a very serious cat.
Very big cat.
Very big cat, very serious cat. So he or she's not smiling too much. I don't really like how dark. So I don't really like how dark I made that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of my white, go back in there, smooth it out a little bit. Cover it up some. You don't even have to go back and take it off. Most anything that you feel like you might mess up on this can be pretty easily fixed without having to start all over. Because starting all over is it's a chore. I didn't go down quite. Can you look up at the ceiling? I didn't go down quite far enough with the first coat on her chin, so I just want to make sure it gets covered. And again, Bagheera's going to have on a scarf that comes up pretty high on the neck, but just for purposes of showing you. And that's kind of the shading, and then go ahead and look at it again. Look at the camera again. So I put some of the medium gray in the eyebrows here, and then around her mouth, and a little bit on the chin. And the last color that we do anything with is the solid black. So again, I'm going to do this with a paintbrush, but for the plays, the Bagheeras should have their own black eyeliner for at least the bottom lid, because that's where I find that the kids get very sensitive to it. I'm going to have you close your eyes, and then So for Bagheera, you want to paint the eyelid. And come all the way to the lash line. And then kind of give them a little, I guess nowadays they call them wings. Go all the way out on their eye, on the eye, make her eyes bigger. And then they get, sorry, just trying to make it even. Try to keep have them keep their eyes closed for this part, because the black, if they open their eyes, it's going to smear into their upper lids. So that needs to dry. You want to bring the inner corners of their eye, when you accentuate that, kind of on their nose a little bit. I'm just going to show you what it'll look like before you come in with the eyeliner on the bottom. Go ahead and look at the camera so they can see. So I came in and did like a pointed triangle down on her nose, so you can see that. And then when I do the bottom, what I like to do is I'll have them look up at the ceiling, and it'll just go right at the lash line on the bottom. Look up. Look up. Having a hard time getting that angle. Yep. Making her blink. Look up. Way up at the sky. Okay. That's what the eyes come out to look like. It's a little thick on the bottom just because of the kind of brush I'm using and the fact that it's not true eyeliner, but you get the idea. You can switch brushes if you want. We can add extra brushes, or you can rinse this off with water and then dry it out. Dry it off with a paper towel. That works too. And then we want to accentuate the eyebrows, and that gray gives us some shading again. And just kind of follow the eyebrows and make them big and full. I know each show, every character is going to look a little bit different because we all have our own styles of, how things happen, but this is the basic idea. So serious. There's some eyebrows for Bagheera. And then the nose. So the nose is kind of interesting on Bagheera. We want to kind of come up around the curves and give this big dip towards the middle. My hand's not very steady at the moment. Oops. Well, see? There I go messing up. But it's all fixable. Make accentuate and come down, and then we paint their nose black. She's got a black nose. And then we're going to paint underneath into sort of a V almost. It comes to a point right in the middle. Show them where that is. Right there. Well, and then we're going to fill in the middle. And again, just make sure that white that you put underneath is dry. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of mixing, and it's not going to be as solid a black. But you want to fill in the nose. And then come all the way down to her lip. Just with a small line. And then, because Bagheera is so serious, we kind of turn the corners of the mouth down. Give her a little bit of a, not a frown, just a pensive, thoughtful look. And then we do little whiskers. You're looking mean, huh? Protective. Trying to protect Mowgli, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And then just a few whiskers that kind of come out. You don't have to do a lot. 3 or 4, maybe 5 on each side. Give it a, and they're not really heavy strokes. I just sort of brush. A little bit like that. And that's pretty much Bagheera. I was probably feeling a little rushed for this one, but that's the basic outline and process. I expect that most of these characters are going to take 10 to 15 minutes, especially with some of the ones that are only one character. They're more involved, and you can't really get into a groove of doing it a certain way. So hopefully that helps, though, with the process. You can kind of take a look and
with Bagheera.
With Bagheera.